And I look around and I see someone swimming in the ocean. I was like, who swims in the middle of the ocean? Turns out it was someone from our boat. So we had to turn around immediately. At that point, my heart stops. And when I spotted him, I was like, dolphins, dolphins! There are around 500,000 striped dolphins in the Mediterranean Sea. In September of this year, I went to Sanremo in Italy to join a research team with the organization Tethys.
Tethys is an organization conducting research on whales, dolphins, marine mammals in general, and other marine organisms like turtles, sharks, rays, and so forth. The ultimate goal of our research is, of course, to gather information on whales, dolphins, on their biology, on their ecology, their conservation status, identify threats, and the influence that these threats might have on the populations. And of course, we use all this information and this knowledge to support the protection of Mediterranean cetaceans.
One of my goals was to see sperm whales. Sperm whales are very interesting animals. They live in family groups and they constantly communicate with each other. They're just very intelligent animals, so I wanted to see them in the wild. But flying to Italy just for that would be a lot of work. Welcome to Italy! Not quite, I'm actually in France. I'm in Nice, and now I'm waiting on my bus to take me to Sanremo, to Italy. Filming this scene was probably the most embarrassing thing I've ever done. Imagine you're in France and you say welcome to Italy. That is the dumbest thing ever. But I wanted to get the shot at the airport. If you're new here, I'm Rabea. I'm a biology student, passionate about conservation and animals. And I started this channel to show that a lot of cool conservation projects already exist. And if you like the videos, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribed. The bus was on time and then we just drove to Sanremo. On the highway, there was a truck going kind of an hour lane. And once we almost passed the truck, I just hear a loud bang. I was like, oh no, that does not sound good. So it turns out the truck hit the bus, but the bus just continued driving as if nothing happened. So I was like, okay, fine with me. I got to Sanremo at like 1 p.m. and then I still had to wait like 5 hours before I could board the boat. The walk from the bus station to the harbor is like a 35-minute walk. It took me a lot longer because of all the luggage I had to carry. Anyways, I was just walking on the sideway and suddenly I hear something drop behind me. And I turn around and I realize it's my camera that just fell out of my backpack. At that point, my heart stops. I was like, this can't happen. I mean, this journey hasn't even started yet. I'm not even on the boat yet, and I already break my equipment. So I pick up my camera and try if it's still working. And thank God it is. Turns out it didn't even have a scratch. But that was nerve-wracking. Well, then around 6 p.m. I got on board and I was welcomed by very, very nice people. I got so lucky because I stayed in a cabin that has its own bathroom attached. So it's the cabin itself are really small because they have to fit like 15 people on the boat. And the beds are really small too, but that's fine. We had our own bathroom. I just didn't really use that bathroom because bathrooms on boats are kind of different because you cannot poop there, you can only pee because it goes directly into the ocean. And therefore you can also not throw anything else in the toilet. So no toilet paper, the toilet paper gets thrown in a bin next to it. And as you can imagine, when you don't switch out the bin regularly, it starts to smell after a while. So I tried not to use that bathroom as much as I could, and I always went in the harbor. That evening we didn't really do much, we just got to know each other a bit, and then we went to sleep. And honestly, it was really stuffy at night because there's only a small window in the cabin, but I still had a relatively decent sleep. On day 2, we woke up early in the morning and had a nice breakfast, but then we had to wait. So right now we're waiting for the engines on the boat to get replaced, and it's already 11:30 and we're just waiting. It's really boring. So we waited for like 4 hours until 12 p.m. and then finally we headed out for the first time. And it didn't take us long to see dolphins. There are approximately 92 species of whales and dolphins in the entire world, and 27 of those can be found in the Mediterranean Sea. Although they can be found occasionally, there are 8 common or regular species of whales and dolphins in the Mediterranean. I was the first one to spot them. They were bottlenose dolphins that live close to the coastline. And when I spotted them, I was like, dolphins, dolphins! And I ran below deck to grab my camera because I didn't bring it upstairs with me. And as I was looking for my camera, running around, I noticed like, oh no, I'm getting really nauseous. So I tried to go back up because that's what you're supposed to do when you're nauseous. Go on deck, look at the horizon, and try not to move around so much. And suddenly I hear the captain of our boat scream, Nino, Nino. Nino was the main researcher on the boat.
My name is Nino Pierantonio and I am a researcher at the Tethys Research Institute.
I was like, what's going on now? And I look around and I see someone swimming in the ocean. I was like, who swims in the middle of the ocean? I mean, we were still relatively close to shore, but still, the waves were pretty high. Like, who would swim there? Turns out it was someone from our boat. So we had to turn around immediately to get him out of the water as quickly as possible. And he fell in with all his clothes, and he even had his phone with him, but they got him out of the water safely, and luckily he was fine. And even his phone survived, which was really surprising. Well, that day, of course, we immediately went back to the harbor because you never know, he might have like hurt his head or something, so it's better to get checked up. For my seasickness, of course, I didn't bring medication because I was like, I'm not gonna get seasick, it's not gonna happen to me. Well, it did happen to me, but luckily some other people were smarter than me and brought pills. So they were really kind and gave me a pill every day. The research is conducted on the vessel called Pelagos, and well, it's named Pelagos because of the Tethys Research Sanctuary. The Tethys Sanctuary is a marine protected area that was established in 1990, and it is the first marine protected area in international waters, so between France, Monaco, and Italy. The sanctuary itself is about 90,000 square kilometers big. The study area is 20,000 square kilometers. On day 3, we woke up early again and had breakfast, and this time we immediately started to head out after breakfast. At this time, I came prepared and I took the seasickness medication. I'm glad I did because the waves that day were still very high. So we could only stay along the coastline and couldn't go further out. And that day, there were like 4 or 5 people on the boat who got so sick that they had to throw up. It was really, the waves were really that high. Anyways, as we were driving along the coastline, we spotted dolphins. The first dolphins I've ever seen in the wild. And they were striped dolphins. Striped dolphins are really easy to recognize because they have these signature gray stripes on their bodies. There are around 500,000 striped dolphins in the Mediterranean Sea. And a group consists of like 20, 25 individuals. Sometimes they can be found in bigger groups, but usually it's around 20-ish individuals per group. You could see their dorsal fins coming out of the water. It was so magical. but we couldn't get so close. And in the afternoon, we had to turn around because everyone was getting seasick. The waves were getting stronger, and it was a smart decision to go back into the harbor. Day 4, we headed out early in the morning, and every day we were 2 people who prepared breakfast, lunch, and dinner and did all of the cleaning afterwards. And day 4 was my turn to prepare all the food. And then we immediately headed out after breakfast. Usually we would still had a break to take the seasickness medication and get ready. That day, the water was so calm that we immediately started to head out. And I wasn't even done with the dishes or anything, so I rushed down the kitchen, put all the stuff from breakfast away, and cleaned the dishes. I've never cleaned dishes so fast in my life before. Then I got ready, I got my camera. I didn't want to make the same mistake anymore to leave my camera below deck. It didn't take us long until we saw the first dolphins. And they were striped dolphins again. But this time, they came really close to the boat. And in front of the boat, there is a seat. Of course, the seat wasn't in front of the boat, it was in the front of the boat. Sorry for that. It's the best spot on the boat because you can just hang your feet down and it's right in the front, so you can look below you and to the sides. You have the best view. And when a dolphin swims so close in front of the boat, it's called bow riding. When they ride with the waves of the boat, they kind of get carried, so they save a lot of energy doing that. And that day, I was so lucky to sit at the best seat in front of the boat and to see the dolphins ride the waves in front of us. They're only 2 meters long, and they're very curious animals, and you could really see that because they came so close to our boat. For a habitat, they prefer the pelagic area, that is just open ocean, where the ocean is at least 2,000 meters deep. But they also prefer the slope area, and that is the area where the sea bottom suddenly drops from like 200 meters to 2,000 meters. I apologize for the shaky footage sometimes, and sometimes it's also out of focus. It was quite hard to film on the boat because it was moving around so much, so it was quite shaky in itself. And I also don't have a lens that has an autofocus, so I had to manually focus. But those are not excuses. Maybe I just suck at filming. I'm sorry for that. I hope you still enjoy the footage though and get a glimpse of how it felt to me and the other people on board. Before we even spotted the striped dolphins, we could hear their whistles underwater. On the Pelagos, they have a hydrophone. And a hydrophone is just an underwater microphone. It's basically just a long tube. You put it in the water and it records sounds. And what the scientists then do is they take as many pictures as they can of the dolphins because each one looks unique. Each one has different marks on their body. Usually they take the pictures of their dorsal fin because that's the part of the body that is out of the water most of the time. But when they're so close, you can also take pictures of their head and their whole body. You can see scars on their entire body. That way you can create a database of individual animals and eventually compare each photo you've taken to the database and see if the individual was already spotted or if this is a new individual. There is a viewing platform on top of the boat, and on that platform, someone spotted the blow of a fin whale. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, it blows. But we had the hydrophone in the water again, and it actually turned out it wasn't a fin whale, it were Cuvier's beaked whales.